Time for the first bookmark in this FM23 Head Coach story. We're going to have a look at our former clubs today, see how they're getting on without us and if any of their stars or villains are still there. We're also going to have a look at the footballing pyramid and the cup competitions too, and see if anyone's causing a stir in the footballing world. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 41 of the Head Coach with me, Daniel. It is a very big episode today as we come back for our first bookmark in this Head Coach series. So for those of you that haven't been here in previous editions of this save, every 5 years in one of our long-term stories, we take a little stop off, we have a look at the UK leagues, we have a look at the cup competitions, and we have a look at the key ones from Europe and international level as well. And we just see what the footballing world is looking like. However, in this save, the Head Coach, there's another addition too. We have a look at all of our former clubs, all of the former heroes and villains of the save, and we have a look at how they've been getting on since we left them when moving on to a new club. So if you're looking forward to all of that, in this episode it will be looking at Airbus, it will be looking at the likes of Peterborough Sports and Kyle Hudlin, and of course at what we plan to do with Maidenhead, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. So what we're going to do first up today is go and have a look through our career, our current and former clubs, see who the star players were and how they've been getting on since we left them. So let's start with my history. We have managed in our career so far 3 club teams, 0 international teams. The longest time at a club was of course Airbus. The shortest time was of course Peterborough Sports. 5 awards, most of them probably coming this season. Career earnings of £110,000. What's that a salary of? 22 grand a year? And then 5 days on holiday, that was at the start waiting for the first job. So not a bad career so far. No sackings despite being very close on a couple of occasions with Airbus. And of course technically not having our contract renewed at Peterborough Sports. 33 players in across our director of football so far. 37 out. Transfer value, highest fee received, 16,000 this year for Greg Ocox. Our personal stats overall, actually not too bad. With this season at Maidenhead, they've just passed the halfway point. So we've got more wins than losses, which wasn't the case prior to this year. We've got more goals for than against, which again the same. And we've basically had a split, haven't we? 2 seasons of real struggle, 2 seasons of relative success, and one that was sort of half and half. Because that third season we did start okay with Airbus. In terms of league wins, promotions, etc., the only one on the CV is the one we've just picked up with Maidenhead. Prior to that, it was just about surviving. But as a result of that, there's no relegations on there. Let's go and have a look at our job history and our clubs. We started with Airbus in the Welsh Premier League. 2 10th place finishes as we just avoid the drop. And we left the club in 7th early in the 3rd season. 2 Manager of the Month awards in those times, 1 each season. But let's see what's been happening to them since. Airbus, back where they started. 10th place in the Welsh Premier League. This season, how many points did they manage to muster? 31. They survived by a point, 2 from the bottom of the table with Barry. Great to see they've gone nowhere since we left them. So the only season I think they did better was the one where we left halfway through in a better position. We have a look. Oh, I take that back. Last year they managed to finish 6th. I'm not quite sure how because they haven't got a good side, but they did. And unfortunately, they've dropped back down this year for them. Still a lot of familiar names on those amateur deals, which is a bit of a surprise. I didn't expect them to have so much familiarity there. When we left the club, you can see a lot of these boys were still there. Dion Nichols, Ethan Morgan, Bradley Borge, Joe Jenkins, Matthew Baker. Have any of them developed or got any better? Not really. They're largely the same as they were when we were here. And although they're not very good players at that level, they've obviously done a job for them consistently. And Josh Dawson was there as well, wasn't he? So there's more than it looks like, probably about half the squad. Add to that the ones up here who were largely about. Jack Masrani was there, even Goodwin was there, Dan Jeffries was part of the club as well. It's not got much stronger as a side, but of course they won't care because their objective is to stay up every year and they're doing enough without doing anything spectacular. Is the manager still the one that replaced us? Jordan Cranston, he has been there since 2026, so no, they've had a sacking in the meantime. And Liam Thomas is still director of football. He's improved a tiny bit, but not much. So not a bad team. It wasn't a hugely enjoyable experience, but it kept us in a job. It helped us progress, and in the end, it got us out. But to be fair, a lot of those staff are still there, and some of them were very good at their jobs. So Airbus, no real surprises. They've not progressed or gone backwards since we left, but that's a very similar league. There's not a lot that they could have done. Peterborough Sports, on the other hand, is the one I'm very upset about, because we came in when they were marooned at the bottom of the table. We said we'd stay up comfortably, not just avoid relegation. And although we only stayed up by 2 places in 19th, we actually stayed up by about 12 points with 4 or 5 games to go. So I do feel a little bit hard done by with a sack in there. But of course, it was the stage of our first real hero, which was Kyle Hudlin. We got a Manager of the Month award there. It looked for a while like we were going to be in trouble. But Aaron Wilbraham, what a man he is. Joined the club from Luton, where he was assistant in 2027, which is this year. But has he led them to safety? That is the question. Oh, they've gone down. I shouldn't be celebrating. And I'm sorry if you're a Peterborough Sports fan, but that is what you deserve. 44 points, down you go. Peterborough Sports, 2 years after sacking us for keeping them up by 12 points, have now managed to get themselves relegated out of the playable leagues. Oh, that does secretly make me smile. Where did they finish last season? Just want to check. They were 11th place. They did okay last year, but obviously not so much this time around. Of course, after a couple of years, you would expect a few to move on. Probably the most surprising thing about this side is that Tyron Ekpata, one of the backup midfielders, although he's played first choice this season, he's been linked with our club loads of times. The Maidenhead director of football must have tried 3 times to sign him. Every time he's rejected over wages. And the one man I do feel for, who I didn't expect to still be about, is Kyle Hudlin. What a player he is. Only 8 goals this season, 9 goals last season, 21 the year we were there. He was scoring 1 a game, and now he can only get 1 in 4. So if the Maidenhead director of football wants to go and sign him, I will not be complaining at all, let me tell you that. But I think we've got our own good strikers now with Kroll and Lloyd. Lots of familiar names though. Lucas Ness still there. Tom Allen, Asher Falasse, lots of players that we manage, but most of them out of contract this year, so I'll be interested to see what their squad's like. Amole's still there as a star player as well, but he said he's going to walk at the end. Kyle Hudlin, very much a hero of the save. I'd really like to manage him again at some point. Not sure we're going to get that opportunity though. And that brings us on to this club, which is Maidenhead United. First place after a 6th place finish last year, a Manager of the Year award, a competition win as we got promoted at the 2nd attempt, and now we are officially favoured personnel, and ironically, alongside James Kroll, who's only been here half a year. So couldn't be happier with that. We've become a bit of a club favourite, and maybe that's going to disappear when we take a new job, but also probably gives us a little bit of standing when it comes to interviews. Are we going to have the opportunity to say, well, look, this club love us. We've done really well for them. Maybe we can have a good relationship with fans anywhere. Let's hope that's the case. So not a huge amount to reflect on in the 5 years because we've only been at 3 clubs this time. But definitely progression as we've gone along. Brilliant to see that Peterborough Sports are no better off without us. In fact, they're worse off. Airbus are pretty much in the same position. So nobody else has benefited from us leaving the job. Maidenhead have got promotion for sticking with us. And now we can prepare for life in the National League. Lots of jobs up. We'll reflect on that next episode. We might yet end up with a move this summer. Who knows? Has been one little bit of interest already. But the main thing we're here for is to take a look across the footballing world. Let's see what's changed in 5 years. Any big surprises? Anything that we didn't expect to see? We'll start with the English Premier League and work our way down. Well, I don't know about you, but how is that for an immediate surprise? Rotherham United relegated from the Premier League. Is that their first season up? Was it just a flash in the pan? But it's a brilliant job regardless. Dean Smith, who might be out of a job soon in real life, is the man who did it. They got promoted, 2 in 3 years. So they actually got relegated from the Championship first season, came back up as champions, finished 17th, then went up in 6th place via the playoffs. Yes, they've come back down, but the finances from that must surely be a real benefit for them. We've also got 7th place United missing out on Europe. That's because Brighton and Leeds have made it. What competitions have they won? So Brighton went out second round of the League Cup, but won the FA Cup final against Bournemouth. That's interesting. Beat Newcastle and United along the way. And then did Leeds win the Carabao Cup? Or were they in Europe elsewhere? No, they beat Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final. So some real surprises there in the bottom half of the Premier League. Might just open things up in later seasons. We'll keep an eye on it. So no huge shocks, I wouldn't say, but Rotherham being in the Premier League is a really big effort. Let's go down to the Championship and compare there. Derby have now completed their return. They're up to the Premier League alongside Burnley. They've got 106 points this time around. Burnley, Southampton, Palace, Forest and Burnley again. It's the usual Premier League suspects going back up. Maybe a surprise to see Southampton and Palace down, but I don't think that would be a huge shock. Maybe just a slight surprise. My club Luton still going solid in the middle and no huge surprises at the bottom either. So nothing too drastic so far. Just wanted to check with the Premier League. 4 Liverpool wins, 1 City win. They're doing pretty well, although 1 point separates them there. Let's get down to League One, where we've got a few more surprises. Lincoln beat Pompey in the playoff final. We've had Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, QPR, Plymouth and Swansea win the title so far. Ipswich up with Swansea this year. Any big surprise names at that level? Wrexham up in the middle of League One now. 2 promotions in 5 years for them. I don't see anything else that stand out at the minute. So let's go down to League 2. In there, we've got Doncaster winning the final against MK Dons. No big shocks at the top. Solihull staying strong in there, but that's only 1 divisional change. Bromley back down after a couple of years up. Crewe, Accrington, Mansfield, Leighton, Orient and Stockport the winners. I don't think there's any shock so far. By this point in last year's head coach, we'd seen a few move 2 or 3 divisions. Definitely not the case here though. Let's go down to the National League, where we will be next season. No Newport County, who have got themselves promoted. They went up alongside Notts County. So the 2 counties are gone. Solihull, Bromley, Aldershot and Wrexham had joined them in previous years. But we saw Bromley are coming back down next time. Stevenage are up at this level still. There are some good sides up here. I'm just looking at the ones that went down. Dagenham and Redbridge we'll be swapping with. In the middle of the table, some good clubs, lots of established clubs. And our Twitch stream Save Woking will be coming up against them. On to the National League North, which is the last division we're not taking part in. We mentioned the bizarre geography of Boreham Wood. Despite being more southern than some of the teams in the south, they got themselves promoted from the north. Probably a good job for us that they were in the Northern Division, because they were far better than us in the FA Cup ties, got a much bigger points total in probably a stronger league. And I'd argue that we would have been in trouble if they'd been in our division. Peterborough Sports going down is a fun personal one for us. And in the south, which we managed in this year, Chelmsford did win the final from 7th place, which was an incredible effort. Some other sides going down, but mostly poor ones that we played against. And Torquay stuck in the bottom half still. No huge shocks. I wouldn't say it's as standout as last year's edition. But let's go to the Cups. Any surprise winners in them? Of course, Brighton won this year's FA Cup. Seems we've just had a weird season, because all the other years it's been the top boys. Spurs, Liverpool and 2 for City. Sam Nombe in the National League North with Altrincham, one of the top scorers in this year's FA Cup. He's playing with us in League 1 with Woking in a live stream save, and he's a lot better than that, let me tell you. Into the League Cup, any more surprises bar Leeds? No, again, all the top sides and then Leeds this season. Jack Grealish now playing for Newcastle apparently. And then onto the EFL Trophy and Community Shield. No big surprises. Wigan win the trophy this year. There was one under-21 winner in Chelsea. They managed to pick the trophy up in 2025. Preston and Wigan note 2 big names in the last 2 years. Port Vale did alright first season though. And the FA Trophy, again, big National League names. Bromley, Woking, Notts County, Wrexham and Eastleigh, all established in the top tier of non-league football. Scottish Premiership dropping massively in the European competition reputation, but lots of Celtic dominance. Rangers struggling for second ahead of Hibs. Looks like they're having a few difficult years at the moment. Hearts and Hibs, the Edinburgh clubs, making up the rest of the top 4. Still ahead of the Championship though, which is a pretty impressive effort. Let's have a look at the Scottish Championship as Raith go back down. Arbroath established in the top tier is a pretty good effort. That must mean there's a couple of bigger clubs down here. Both Dundees are down. Dundee United going straight back up though. We've also got Kilmarnock in the bottom half. A little bit of a surprise there perhaps, but nothing massive, nothing standout. Down to League 1. We've got Dunfermline and Falkirk coming back up, so still struggling to establish themselves 5 years in. The second time Falkirk have won it this time around. Then down to League 2, the final one. Stirling have won the title. We'll have one regular that's very happy about that. Look how low the points totals are. 36 games, 61 points to 60. Onto the Scottish Cup just to check. Only one win for Rangers. It has been real Celtic dominance. Same in the Premier Sports Cup, only one win for Rangers. Celtic, almost a clean sweep of trebles. Lots of teams winning the SPFL Trust Trophy, including Larne of Northern Ireland. That's where we're going to head next, because in our Builder Nation in Northern Ireland, Larne are the dominant force. Not the case here. 2 for Linfield, 2 for Larne, 1 for Glentoran. And if we have a look at the league table this year, it's the usual suspects at the top. Ballymena doing well there, Glenarvan as well. But Northern Irish football looking pretty good, you've got to say. Up in the competition reputation, maybe not quite so much as it had been in the other save, but it's still doing okay and improving quite quickly. It'll be interesting to do the comparison every 5 years between this save and the Builder Nation from the Northern Irish point of view. The final one we're going to have a look at is Wales, so let's head to TNS, who I'm sure will be champions. They were dominant when we were there with Airbus, and they've won 5 in a row. Now remember, they're well ahead of the Northern Irish one here. They're up in line with League 2. TNS reached the group stages in Europe the first year. They've got good players like this guy, who's playing football regularly in Europe. So let's see how they've been getting on, because they are a club with David Vaughan in charge that have got real quality. I'm looking at the stars of the team. The whole first team's earning 2 or 3 grand a week. Jack Stretton we've managed before with Derby, quality player. It's a good side. I want to see if they've made Europe any more years. So this season, yep, they played in the Conference League group stages. Last year, not managed to get to the groups, but that will be at least 2 in the first 5 years of this save. You've got to give TNS a huge amount of credit. So to be honest, from the domestic league's point of view, I'm actually a little disappointed by the fact there's no surprises anywhere of real note. I just want to go and check the European competitions as well, because there I am automatically typing in European Champions Cup, forgetting the licensing this year. Let's start with the Champions League final. All English this time. Liverpool beat Chelsea. City did finally get their win in 2026. Liverpool, though, won 3 of the last 5, Bayern getting the other. In the Europa League, I saw Arsenal had won it against Napoli in the final with their weird name from FM23. We got Tottenham before that. They're winning a few trophies in this save. Both Milan clubs and Lyon getting 1 apiece. Gabriel Jesus, 15 goals for Arsenal this year. Saka doesn't look too bad either as a winger. Let's have a look at the Conference League. Newcastle, Arsenal and Aston Villa in the first 5 seasons. You wouldn't bet against Unai Emery doing that next year if he can find a route in, because as soon as he's in a European competition, you basically know he's guaranteed at least a semi-final. Wolfsburg and Fiorentina, the other winners there. Good to see that competition getting some love. Abada from Celtic has turned up at Newcastle. That's a slightly weird sign-in. Let's finish off with the international competitions. We will start with the European Championships. The holders are England, who of course overpowered in this save. Don't forget, we've got nearly all of Europe loaded, about 98,000 players. So this is not just that the English leagues are loaded and its dominance. This is proper FM bias, this one. England, 2024, how did they get their victory? That's what I want to know. We'll find out how they did in the World Cup doing this as well. But let's go to the schedule. Let's go back a couple of years. We have got a group stage defeat to Serbia, but beating Sweden and Ireland to get through. Ukraine after extra time, Spain in the quarters, then Croatia and Serbia. Revenge in the final. I tell you what, the people who like to moan about easy runs to the final, they're going to be having a field day with that one, aren't they? 2-0 against Serbia, Grealish and Bellingham. In the last game before that, Thomas and Jones. Be interesting to see if they're there in 2 years' time. Kane and Foden, much more familiar in the quarters. Let's go to the World Cup, see how that compares. Not going to worry with the Nations League. Spain are the holders, the side England put out in 2024. They beat Croatia in the final, who, I tell you what, they seem to be delivering consistently, don't they? Maybe they've got another brilliant generation coming through. Let's see how that worked out. Brazil beat France in the 3rd place playoff. Where did England get to? Did they have a quarter? No, but Ireland did. The Republic of Ireland played France in the quarterfinals. In the 3rd round, the last 16, we had Ireland beat Scotland. England didn't get there either. What on earth has happened with England in the World Cup last year? I'm going to have to go and have a look, because if we go back a few days, surely they got to the last 16, did they not? It doesn't look like it. England went out to Spain in the last 32, right? So just luck of the draw. Spain drew England in both the Euros and the World Cup, and the one who's won has gone on to win the tournament. Interesting outcomes from that. But that is the review of the footballing world. That's what it looks like at the moment. For us, it is a very important summer at Maidenhead though, because we've already got a summer signing. There's a few players out of contract, and we are preparing for life at a higher division. The third coaching badge is on the way. I'm applying for jobs that are higher up. I'm not going to lie to you about that. So we've gone for Bromley and Port Vale, who are relegated from League 2. Aberdeen, who are mid-table in the Scottish Premiership. We have had one job interview for a job we didn't apply for, but we didn't get offered it in the end. But there's not too much else about at the moment. It will probably start the merry-go-round in June and July, and we'll see if there's anywhere we could end up. But for now, we are focused on a big season with Maidenhead. Success at last after 5 painful years. The first 3 seasons were a disaster. The 4th one started frustratingly, but we look like we're back on track. So a tougher start to the head coach, but plenty of fun around the corner. Let me know what you thought of the first 5 years of this save, and if there were any big surprises in there that I didn't notice that you thought stood out. But if you did enjoy this first little bookmark, do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know if you think I should stay or go from Maidenhead this summer. I'm not sure we're going to get the opportunity to leave. But if we do, I want to know what you think I should do. If you want to stay up to date and find out, as we'll be back for a big transfer special or a big job change next time round, then please do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We've got daily videos from 2 long-term stories. The Builder Nation is back tomorrow, and that one is getting very exciting. Anything else you've missed will be in the eye above. That playlist, the Twitch channel, and the sponsor HelloFresh as well. Please do check that out. It helps support the channel. And I'll see you here again next time for a transfer special or a job special. But either way, the start of season 6.